Hi everyone and welcome to the latest monologue. Today we're back to the spiritual series, talking about Kenyan social issues. We've left the climate change environmental conservation series because those I think we got the gist of it. Now today I'm going to talk about an interesting topic that's part of all of our lives. So I'm talking today about talking. Talking is a very important part of human life, right from toddler stage, whatever stage it is, someone uh, achieves the power of speech. Even to those who don't have the power of speech, whether by sign language or whatever means it is, talking is really important. The challenge we have in Kenya and why I'm talking about is that Kenya is in Africa, and in Africa, dialogue, the oral, so-called oral tradition, has been very important to us since time immemorial. All parts of Africa, all peoples. There were rituals around talking in conflict resolution. In Luoland, we even had special certain species of trees where people would sit under those trees to talk to make peace, etc. There'd be drinks people take when sorting out these conflicts. In Africa, they use the kola nut, they use palm wine. Here we have various traditional brews and things we use. We partake of when we talk because that's how important talking is to us. But modern Kenya has turned talking into subterfuge rather than communication, and this is what I mean. We've made the act of talking, or the noise of talking, we've contrived to make that replace the actual act of communication. And we've done this at both individual, corporate, and even national level. For example, our 2010 constitution expressly says that whatever government activities, regulations, or whatever requires public participation. Public participation is the public giving their opinion of whatever is going on, with the implied outcome that the implementing authority will listen and see whether this thing is actually appropriate or not. But Kenya government and all organizations have reduced it to a box ticking exercise. You have public participation, 100% of the people say we don't want it, and you go ahead with it. You tick the box. We did public participation, and you have signatures of those who attended. You have a diary saying it was done on this and that date. My personal experience with this was when the SGR, Standard Gauge Railway, was being built through Nairobi National Park. I went to a public participation exercise held in Karinde. Those who know Nairobi, they know that's the area just west of Karen, the end of Karen. My shock was when I got there, I found that on the side of the contractors running the public participation on behalf of the contractor was the EIA expert from Kenya Wildlife Service, Mr. Bernard Carrier. And I realized that this project has already been, it's going to be forced through regardless of what we say. So I sort of just held my own counsel and didn't say much. But they had made us sign in, and later on I saw my name amongst the list of people who participated and approved that the project is good. Yet I was completely set against the project. That's what I realized. They take your signatures, they misuse it, they misuse your presence, etc. So since then I don't attend any public participation exercises. But to get involved in talking, the importance of talking is not just the noise, it's the substance of what you're saying. It's what you're presenting. That's why in African language we have colloquial language where sometimes difficult things are put into proverbs, etc., 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 to make talking worse. But in Kenya, even at personal level, if anybody in Kenya, I'm sure you've been, if you have never been conned in Kenya, you are very lucky because we are a dishonest society. Here's my personal experience. A professional colleague of over 20 years called me to get me onto a team doing a proposal. And he called me and needed an answer immediately. I was going to send me, right? Don't you send me the things and I'll let you know tomorrow. Send me the stuff by email, let you know tomorrow. He said he needs my yes answer, yes or no answer immediately. So I trusted colleague. I said yes. And later on, I found that this thing was, uh, I'd just say, a spurious project where I was going to be. They wanted to extract my intellectual work, and I wasn't going to be included, and all that. And the person running it was someone of less than acceptable integrity by my standards. So I instantly wrote and said, no, I'm not going to do this, and I don't want anything to do with this. Instantly, what happened after that? He was on the phone calling me. And that's what Kenyans do. Once a friend even betrays you like that, and you call them out, the first thing, they're on the phone calling you because they want to talk. No, I didn't mean it that. It's not to apologize. Oh, I didn't mean it that way. This guy eventually told me, oh, I also didn't know this guy was crooked and all that, but he was the one pushing me into the project. If you didn't know the guy was crooked, why was he pushing me, a friend who trusts him? And this has become so typical of everything we do. Look at the corporate sector. We just had last week, we had some strange thing they call customer service week, where corporations all over Kenya were. I think the biggest success of the week was the sale of balloons. There was balloons in the doorway of banks, of shops. I don't know where they got the idea that customer service is directly proportional to number of balloons in your shop. But we've experienced this, be it banks, especially banks, airlines, telecom, mobile service providers. These services we use, and we need good high standard of service from. You realize that if you have a problem, but there's someone, customer service number you call, and there's someone there just to talk to you. They don't sort you out. They have all these channels. Then you call this number, get in touch with us on X, get in touch with us on Facebook, get in touch with us on Instagram, whatever. But there's just someone to talk to you, and eventually you give up. They don't solve your problem. Lose a piece of luggage with some of these these airlines here. They'll talk your ear off. Eventually, you just give up. As of the last time I had the misfortune of calling Safaricom customer service, they did not have a human being. They had a menu, an artificial intelligence thing that took me around in circles, and I just gave up. We just didn't do it. My bank, I just had a dispute with them, and it took me getting angry on one of their social media channels, getting angry at the artificial intelligence, because those of us who know the smell of artificial intelligence, there are some things that are so indolent that a real human being, we are not yet that dumb. So I got angry, and a human being got onto it after a number of days. The problem has been long standing, over 2 years. After a number of days, so eventually it got solved, but after a lot of stress. um I've once been on an airline where I had a question to ask about my ticket, and I called a Nairobi number to get to their Nairobi office, and the phone rang in a call center in India. This is just someone to talk. The guy in India did not know anything about what I was asking. He kept saying, go to the website, I'd been to the website before calling. And my problem didn't get solved until I had to go physically to the office. And this is because they've just employed someone to talk to you. What logic is there for having a call center in India answer questions from a customer in Kenya about a flight out of Nairobi? And no, it can't be cost, because Kenya has one of the lowest costs of labor and highest skills levels in the world per capita. That's a fact. We have extremely highly skilled and very cheap labor. That's why even other countries are coming to put their sweatshops here and exploit our people. But a company here, that's why we've forgotten the importance of, you need to just talk to that customer. You could have solved it in 2 minutes, but it takes weeks or months because you are trying to take it through machines. And this is This is the neurosis that currently affecting the West, and in most things, Kenya apes the West. So we think if companies in the US have call centers in Pakistan and China answering their customers, we should also do that. They have a problem with labor costs or labor shortages. It's a fact. But we don't have that problem. So why have we stopped this talking? Talking is the key to how we share resources. Why have we survived for hundreds of thousands of years sharing pasture, rivers, water, space, forests, sharing natural resources which we use directly without fighting? It's because we talk. Suddenly, some people have come here in the last few decades and are telling us that it's not important to talk. So what is the problem with us? Why are we so empty? We can see this all over the place. When there were the Gen Z protests in a couple of months ago in Kenya, immediately everybody, the church is saying people should talk. There's a politician was saying we need to talk. In fact, the gentleman who was really agitated about the need to talk was John Mbadi, who was then a nominated member of parliament. He was really upset, and I looked at that and I said, like, this guy has a stake in it. So when the talking happened, ODM, a number of ODM people jumped in and joined the government, and the political elite closed ranks, leaving the rest of us out. That was the talking that was being agitated for. Just subterfuge. The problems which were being protested about never got solved, and that is why even after that happened, you've seen some of the purported or emergent leaders that came out of this movement. They've been on social media networks saying the most ridiculous things, nonsense. There's one who was saying he wants to take political power, and the interviewer asked him, so do you want to run for MP or MCA or Senate? What he said, I want to run for member of government. There's no such elective post. There's another one who's been receiving a lot of well-meaning support, financial support from common people who don't even know him, giving their few hundred shillings, couple of thousand, this, that. An amazing show of faith, goodwill, and all that. And he's talking down at people who are supporting him, saying, who've been supporting him financially, saying, why is he being arrested and there's no one there? These youngsters are not bad people. But the problem is that we've made noise, the volume, the noise from talking, we've made it such an essential part of the way we do everything that these youngsters and other members of society feel that they just need to talk all the time. Why do you need to talk all the time? Especially in a society like ours, where so many people do not have substance to talk about because they don't read, they don't listen, they don't observe. Talking only, if you think about what talking, real conversations are just a mirror reflection of what you've observed, either what you've read, what you've heard, what you've smelled, what you've seen, and what you've picked up from your environment, your social or natural or work environment. That's what we talk about, or even family environment. If you are not observant, you have nothing to talk about. It immediately follows that whatever you talk about will not make any sense. So we must read. That's the only advice I can give to some of these people, these youngsters who are aspiring to move forward in politics. You have to first observe before you talk. And for them, actually, they have to read because they're young. You have not been around long enough to observe enough to understand Kenya's history. Because we are challenged. We are challenged in this manner. A friend of mine recently lamented that at the Nairobi International Book Fair, she was on stage in a panel, and the moderator of the panel had not read the books that they were meant to be talking about. So the moderator was was just there to appear and look good on stage and laugh and smile and get photographed. Yet this is about books. Now later on, to their credit, the organizer said we are going to get an undertaking from all the moderators of future panels that they will read the books we are being talked about. That's good, but they shouldn't have to do that. They shouldn't have to do that. And it's reaching crisis level. I just recently watched an interview, a panel discussion that involved Vijay Prashad, a scholar and writer, and the Kenya ambassador to the UN, Dr. Martin Kimani. And they're talking about global geopolitics and what the quality of the conversation left me embarrassed. Because our ambassador was so out of his depth in the things they discussed. And he ended up coming, he was only talking about what he's observing there on stage, as in what Prashad is saying or what is being asked. He was not referring to history, what has happened in the past, the causes of what's going on. He's talking about what's going on now. And this is the challenge we have with history in Kenya, and we've discussed it even on other conversations with Wandi and Joya, that the problem with us is that we want to live without history, because history is responsibility at national, social, and even individual level. You can only believe me because I have a history of speaking the truth. You can only trust me with your money if I've got a history of being transparent and accountable. You can only trust me with your car, let's say, if you know I'm a careful driver. That's use of history. So that's responsibility. Because if you don't know that I'm a careful driver, or you know that I'm a careless driver, and you give me your car to drive and I crash it, there's a huge level of responsibility that resides on you. Indeed, in Kenya, even the police can arrest you for giving your car to an incompetent driver or unlicensed driver, because you have the responsibility to know, do you know how to drive? Do you have a license? And all this kind of thing. But because Kenyans are terrified, we abhor responsibility. So we shun history. We say that's the past. There's that term we use, that's the past. We are looking forward. What's your way forward? There's no way forward that does not have reference to the place we've come from. Simple as that. That's why we built a statue of Kimathi as in Nairobi, and erected a statue of Kimathi in Nairobi as a way forward, because we don't want to deal with the history of the fact that his bones are somewhere in Kamiti, interred in an unmarked grave. So history is responsibility, and talking must become again part of who we are. And this is talking, conversing issues of substance, not just the noise and the expulsion of carbon dioxide gas, because that is what we do now. And it's damaging our society at all levels in a way that I don't know how long we can go on like this. But let's keep talking, those of us who talk, and those who forgot how to talk. Let's relearn how to talk. Observe something. Look at the birds in the trees as you're walking down the road, and go and talk to someone. What's that yellow bird called? It's always in that tree. Its conversation starts simply like that, but they are so essential to the fabric of society. So let's keep talking. Those who are figuratively dumb, start learning how to talk. It's the only way forward. These AI things you think are going to do everything for us, wait and see.